All right, it is 7 o'clock. We will call this city council meeting to order. If we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Doing roll call, all voting members are present, minus Councilmember Holmgren, who notified us that he would not be able to make it this evening. Tonight, we have an oath of office for Police Officer Petra Saldana, and I will have Chief Myers take the floor on that. I'll just say that we're very happy to fill our last full-time position slot, and it's a very valuable resource for our city, so.
All right, Mayor and Council, I started off as chief in 2019, and one of you were there at that time. That very same day, one of my challenges was recruitment retention. I don't know how many times I've mentioned those same words in the past 6 years, but many a times, is recruitment retention is the biggest challenge in law enforcement as well as for Isanti PD. We went through a few processes trying to find the right person. For us, we don't just hire anybody that wants to put on a badge or a gun. We want to find the right fit that fits with our community, that fits with our officers, and that will fit as an exemplary law enforcement officer. We hired Petra Saldana as an officer, and she's completed her 12 weeks of field training. She calls Isanti County her home, and she lives there along with her husband, Jose, and her small child. She was an amazing candidate that we're proud of calling our own. We're very fortunate to have her to wear our badge. And she embodies our core values of respect, integrity, and professionalism. So we'll do our oath of office with Jaden, and I encourage council to support all these officers as well as future officers. And many decisions that come before your body affect our recruitment retention, which ultimately affects the quality of life that we can enhance within our community. So just think about that every time we bring something up, that it's all gonna fall back to recruitment retention for us to provide the service to our community members. And I challenge you to prioritize those things for our public safety for our community members. All right, Petra, if you wanna come up, and Officer Saldana.
Test. Okay. Hello? Okay. All right. Whatever you want. Does anyone want better picture in the middle? Whatever. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Petra Saldana,
Do solemnly swear to support the Constitution,
do solemnly swear to support the Constitution
of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the state of Minnesota,
the state of Minnesota,
and to discharge faithfully
and to discharge faithfully
the duties
the duties
of police officer
of police officer
of the city of Isanti,
of the city of Isanti,
Minnesota,
Minnesota,
to the best judgment
to the best judgment
and ability.
and ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And then we'll have Jose, her husband, pin her badge.
Don't stick her now.
Like I said, we're very proud to call her one of our own. Thank you.
Thank you. Good to go? All right, next. Okay, no problem. Oh, sure. Weird. Come on up, don't be shy. Yeah, we could stand up behind him, maybe. You guys want to stand up behind? No, do you, what do you want?
Sometimes we stand up behind, but we can move out of the way and let you, however you guys want to do it.
What do you guys want to do? Okay. Just hang, yeah, right. Thank you, everybody, for coming in, and thank you, Petra, for your service to Isani.
And take the other officers as well.
Of course. Thank you, everybody. All right, next, we will move on to the public comment section of the meeting, and I will just remind people that there's a 3-minute time limit, and we would please like to keep it to official city business and not personal or political attacks. Tonight, we have a timekeeper if necessary. That'll be Councilmember Heeman. He will have a 1-minute piece of paper, and he will notify you when there's 1 minute. If there's anybody that'd like to come forward for public comment tonight, you're more than welcome to come forward. Come on up and just state your name and address for the record, and thank you for coming in. You can tilt it up if you'd like.
No, it's good, it's good.
Okay.
It's good. I'm Josh Bosma from Isanti. Mayor, you posted something today about the school walkout. I don't even know if it happened, to be honest with you. You don't get to, as a public official, as a government official, tell people where, when, how, why they're gonna protest. That's not for you. That's specifically what the First Amendment was written for. You don't get to have a say in how people choose to use their rights. You tried to tell them that they shouldn't. You tried to intimidate people and say that they shouldn't be doing this, that the school shouldn't be doing this, when, in fact, you didn't even know what happened with the school. You just made stuff up. And you can go back and point at your edit now, but the other thing you did is you said, this is from my mayor campaign page. You know, this is the page you're directing people to go to because they don't want to look at your personal page. It's your mayor page. You're not campaigning anymore, it's your mayor page. Number 2, anybody in the room have any relatives that were in World War II? Do you? I hope you thank them for their service. Do you think any of those people thought anything that Hitler did was a good idea? Not gonna answer? Nothing? Since I'm sure not everybody has seen this, you speaking directly to one of our community members, the quote, "pushback from mentally handicapped and unstable morons," sure, probably the same type of people that Hitler had a problem with in the first place, poison to society. Let me ask you something. Republican, Democrat, whatever, did those people that Hitler killed deserve it?
No, and that was my personal page,
I
and I
don't
will say
care.
that that's taken completely out of
God, I
context.
don't care. You don't get to hide behind that. You're mayor 24 hours a day. You don't get to hide behind your personal page when you are as abhorrent and disgusting of comments as that. And if the first thing that comes to your mind when you're going to make a comment is comparing or rationalizing or making it okay things that Adolf Hitler did, and for anybody that sits up there, anybody that works with him that thinks that that's okay and doesn't want to hold that accountable, there's a word that they used for all the people in Germany that sat back and didn't say anything and wanted to stay comfortable. Those people, the word that they use for them is Nazi. No, under no circumstances should you be okay with that representing our community. And I urge you, for the love of God, hold him accountable. That's the person that is the school district liaison. Is that what we want going and being in front of our schools and our kids, is somebody that's rationalizing things that Hitler did? At a minimum, remove him as the school liaison.
All right,
At a
time's
minimum.
up.
I just will reply, that was a year ago, and it was a tough transition for me into mayorhood. I will fully admit that, and there was a mistake. I shouldn't have used a couple of the words that I used in that comment. It was in the heat of the moment, and we all make mistakes, so I fully acknowledge that. I've been working on that, and I feel like it's gotten better, but nobody's perfect. Thank you. Anybody else for public comment tonight? Come on forward and just state your name and address for the record, please. Thank you for coming in.
Keith Kohler, 702 Marion. I'm just coming because I got this tree trimming notice on my front door last week, saying you're gonna be trimming trees in the right of way.
Okay,
Kind of reminded me of being up there 10 months ago,
correct.
and I have not heard any answers or
Sure.
anything on that. And I'm kind of, felt like I've been discarded or not heard. So I have one on Facebook, made a big deal about it on any of the community pages. I tried to come to council,
Yep,
bring you guys my situation, the whole community situation. But I feel like I've been kind of discarded and want to know what's being done. I know you guys did a tree survey. I know there's been turnover in the Public Works Department. I talked to the new Public Services Director. We had a good conversation, but I've heard nothing since then.
sure.
It was on the agenda over and over every month for 3 months, and it kind of just got kicked off the agenda now. Now it's not even on there. And if you guys need a refresher, the city went through, planted ash trees in the boulevards. They've now got emerald ash borer and are dying, and I'm asking for the city to take responsibility for it. I understand the city attorney said your guys' city ordinance was legal. It's not. I've talked to your insurance already. They said they'll pay out to 3 times as much damages for personal injury or property damage. And a good example of that too would be like sidewalks. Say you guys said you guys don't want to take care of sidewalks in the right of way, and you made the residents take care of their own sidewalks. I worked for a city before where somebody slipped on a sidewalk that had that exact same ordinance saying we weren't responsible for it. The League of Minnesota Cities paid out for 2 broken wrists, 3 times the value. So, yeah, just, I guess it's more of a question if you guys can answer it.
Sure. Yeah, I'd be happy to answer that. Thank you for coming in, Keith. I know that our staff is working on some grant applications to try and cover some of that cost, and we have talked a lot as a council for, I'd say, probably 6-7 hours about this total up here. Yep. So we've talked about it a lot, and I think our plan of attack is to get the diseased ones or the more immediate need ones first, and we're kind of waiting to see how the grant comes through, and that was our plan with that. If you ever have a question, feel free to reach out to me or Josh. I'd be happy to communicate. I assumed you've been watching the videos because I know you're very diligent with that, so I figured you kind of knew what was going on with that. But if you ever need any questions answered, I'm more than willing to chat on the phone or whatever.
One piece of advice, just going through this as a different, in the same situation, I guess. You're not doing your public works staff a service by waiting for them to be, fully affected. I don't
Sure.
know if you're taking down an ash tree or not, but
And grenades.
yeah, if you take down a dead ash tree, it's gonna explode. If
Yep.
you take down a live ash tree, it's a heck of a lot easier to clean up. I know my crew went out and it was a 3-man crew for 2 days. It was 17 trees, stumps, everything.
Sure.
You guys can just start attacking. I think you guys would appreciate it and you won't regret getting a jump start on it. Then I think you're kind of already behind the 8 ball a little bit, so getting caught up wouldn't be a bad thing, so.
Okay.
I'll keep watching. Hopefully I hear something soon or see something soon, so.
Sounds good.
As
Sounds good. Thank
recently
you.
as October, November, where we were talking about the grant thing and trying to forecast, and it's not easier going after the more affected ones, we're just trying to prioritize that way and then see what Public Works could do internally versus what we needed to hire out. If we need to get someone training to become a,
Arborist.
not a fellow, yeah, to be able to go up into trees if they're near lines to do more trouble work versus something that's open in the clear and.
Well, I provided you guys state statute stuff. I provided you guys League of Minnesota Cities response. I gave you guys my emerald ash borer policy that I created that we're using currently. I see Cambridge is going through and cutting down all the trees.
We're at 3 minutes. Can you give me a call and we can talk about it, or talk to Josh? He's kind of got, it's
Yeah, we
his.
can exchange emails on
Okay.
the phone call too, so.
Sounds good. Well, thank you for coming in. I appreciate it.
Thank you for following up and bringing it to our attention initially.
Anybody else for public comment this evening? Come on up, Erica. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. State your name and address for the record, please.
Erica Zadon, 709 Bergman Court. I just want to follow up. You and I had some conversations, some messages, and I just want to kind of piggyback on that one. I think most of us would be fired for saying things even on our personal page. As a teacher, if I said things like that, I would immediately be called in and reprimanded, let go, suspended. We've said before in the past, if children said these words, they would be suspended, reprimanded. And I do hope that you guys have conversations outside of these meetings. Personal or not, we're still all citizens of Isani, and we would like to be looked at positively and with respect.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment tonight? Hearing none, we will move on to adopting the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda? Ms. Wood?
Mayor and Council, I do want to share that there were two recent additions to the business agenda today. One of them is K6, and it's resolution to consider authorizing to enter into a professional services contract for IT services with White Bear IT Services LLC. And number 7, resolution to consider approving CUP for fitness gym.
All right, thank you.
Make a motion to approve with changes.
Motion on the floor. Is there a second to approve the agenda with the mentioned
second.
changes? Motion by Councilmember Lundin, second by Councilmember Heeman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion, yeah? Did you oppose?
Yeah.
Okay. So motion carries 3-1 then. So that is approved. We will move on to proclamations, commendations, and certificate award. So tonight we have a food supply drive check presentation, and I'll just read a little bit about that. As part of the 18th annual MMBA food supply drive, we raised a total of $3,994.48 for the Family Pathways Food Shelf in Cambridge. The amount raised is 100% of donations made by customers, either rounding up at the register or by making cash donations, so thank you everybody that did that. We are also awarded a pair of customized Vikings cleats as part of the Miller Lite's My Cause, My Kicks program. They've been received in time, and we'll present them at the meeting also. So staff would like to...
The shoes aren't done.
Oh.
The artist has them. I wish they were done.
Okay, all right. Well, next time, I guess. So staff would like to take an opportunity to give the representative from Family Pathways the opportunity to make a statement if they wish, as well as get a picture of the check being presented to Family Pathways food shelf staff with the mayor, council, and liquor store manager, Lusk. Come on forward. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being a valued part of our community. State your name and address for the record, please.
Patrick Felker, St. Paul. Yeah, just thanks. Keith has been doing this a lot of years. The number keeps growing, the need keeps growing, so really appreciate everything you do for the community. And on record, the cleats are like the coolest thing I've ever, I worked in nonprofits for like 10 years, and customized cleats is like the coolest thing anyone's ever gotten for us, so I really appreciate that.
What do you guys do with those cleats? I'm just curious. Do you auction them or have them on display, or what?
I'm not sure. We have a little thing in our main office that has like a signed basketball and I think a signed golf tee, so maybe it just ends up on display, but yeah, we'll kind of see what ends up with it for sure.
Okay. Well, sounds good. We'd like to get a picture with staff or with council members, and if you guys could come on forward. All right, next. Next, we'll move on to approval of the city council meeting minutes. Are there any changes or additions to this?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Councilmember Lundin, second by Councilmember Peterson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Thank you for the good job on those minutes, Jaden. I appreciate it. I know it takes a lot of time. Next, we'll move on to the announcements. The Park and Rec Board meeting Tuesday, January 27th at 6 p.m. City Council Goal-Setting Session Wednesday, February 4th at 5 p.m. Economic Development Authority Wednesday, February 4th at 6:30 p.m., which is a new time this year. So that's at 6:30 p.m. instead of immediately following council, so keep that in mind. And City Council meeting Wednesday, February 4th at 7 p.m. Do we have any council committee reports this evening? None? Okay. Well, I do have one at the Arts and Science Academy. They talked about some open seats on their board and an upcoming vote for new board members. So if anybody in the community or that has a child in the Arts and Science Academy is interested, contact them to get involved with their board. They also talked about a field trip day to Bluebird Park Sledding Hill for the kindergarten through second grade, which I thought was pretty cool. Maybe wonder if any of the other schools use the Isani City Hill for that purpose. I think it's a great, nearly free addition to that park, and it's been used a ton. So, Josh, I had a question for you. There's been a lot of question about snow. There's like a snowmakers out this year. Have they been out yet this year, or is that expected, or how's the conditions been out there?
It's icy, but we've added snow to the hill. We haven't brought the snowmakers out because we have snow base. And it makes more icy snow than real snow, so we're really not lacking on the hill.
Okay. But you would be coming out with them again this year if it was necessary?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
If we needed snow on the hill, we could make them.
Sounds good. Anything else for the council committee reports? I know the ISD 911 district meets this Thursday, and then the Chamber of Commerce, Nick, you had signed up for this month, so you'll be at that, which is tomorrow, correct?
Correct.
And I'll be taking that over in February again.
On Fire Boards tomorrow, CAC was canceled for this month.
Okay. So this will be your technically second meeting as a fire board, or first meeting as a rep, but second because you were an alternate before, correct?
Correct.
Okay, sounds good. Hearing nothing else, we will move on to business item L1, Illuminate Isani 2025 recap.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight we have Isani together here, who were the volunteers this year for Illuminate Isani, and they'll provide with the recap. You will see that I did provide the financials, and so the overall donations and in-kind received was a total of $24,750, with the total cash contributions around $17,750, or yes, $17,750. The expenditures to date, I know we are missing one for propane, but it shouldn't be very large. Is around $10,731 for expenditures for the year. The city of Isanti was in charge in the contract of taking care of the large item expenses, so anything to do with like the large snowman, the large star, as well as any of our park-related infrastructure, and so we had a total of $1,000 in expenditures for this season. And that is all I have for an update from us right now, unless you have further questions. I'm sure Public Services Director Becker will have some answers for you as well, but I'd like to invite the volunteers of Isani together up to discuss.
Sure, and I'd just like to say great job, everybody involved with this. It was a pleasure to be a small part of it, coming there to light up the tree and help clean up a little bit afterwards. I was really impressed to see you guys work together as a team, and I thought it was a great event this year. I thought it was even better this year than it's ever been. So I really appreciate your time and all the people that donated money. It was very exciting. Yes. Go ahead and state your name and address for the record, please.
Carla Anderla, 312 Flintwood Street.
Jennifer Beauchesne, 508 Brookview.
So I have an Illuminate Isani 2025 recap. Illuminate Isani 2025 continued its trajectory as a signature event for our city, demonstrating measurable community and regional engagement. This summary is to review the results, effectiveness, and practical forward-looking plans for the event, with an emphasis on fiscal stewardship, public safety, and responsible growth. This year, Illuminate Isani ran for 15 days, with 8 days designed as the Festival of Lights. The events reached extended beyond Isani, attracting visitors from St. Francis, Andover, Woodbury, several other neighboring cities, and a handful of out-of-state people. This demonstrates increasing regional interest and economic opportunity. Illuminate Isani received coverage from 2 newspapers, was featured on Fox 9 morning and evening news, and the topic of a realistic podcast episode. Additionally, we joined 2 holiday light finder platforms, including a prominent Facebook group, further amplifying our visibility. I'd like to enhance a couple highlights. The first night was our excitement, and the turnout set the tone for the whole event. The last night, the highest attended evening, with an estimated 1,200 to 1,500 people participating in just that night. Our festival days, despite challenging weather, daily attendance averaged at least 100 people nightly, showcasing strong community support. Regional visitors, attendees traveled from numerous cities, adding diversity and energy to the celebration, as well as revenue into our community by going out to eat at our local restaurants, getting gas, etc. In the absence of this event, it is highly probable that these individuals would not have traveled to Isanti. Performances and vendors. We had 2 musical groups perform in the amphitheater, and all vendor sheds were successfully filled. Santa saw an estimated 800 children. Nearly all 1,200 giveaways were handed out over the course of 7 days. We also were the location of a marriage proposal. Feedback from attendees was overwhelmingly positive, both in person and across social media platforms. Families appreciated the festive atmosphere, the small changes to the event layout, and the event's role in building a sense of community. Some comments included, "I can tell that everyone's heart and soul went into this year's display. Thank you for keeping it alive." Another person said, Thank you all for your hard work and dedication to keep the lights on for us." Another person said, "Thank you to everyone that made this possible. This has become a yearly tradition for our kiddos." Another person said, "Thank you to all the volunteers for their time in keeping this tradition alive. We appreciate it." The partnership between Isani Together and city staff was productive, with both sides responding promptly to requests and collaborating effectively. While there were moments of adjustment, the event ran smoothly overall. Preparations are underway to further improve communication for future events. Events, challenges, and safety improvements. Propane incident. On the opening night, one of our propane fires caught fire, but was swiftly contained thanks to first responders. This highlighted the need for fire extinguishers in the amphitheater side rooms, which should be addressed moving forward. Display damage. One display was damaged by being backed over by a vehicle not affiliated with city workers, Isani Together, or market vendors or food vendors. The display was made operational and will receive additional repairs later. The weather. Weather did not cooperate this year, with getting 7 to 10 inches of snow before opening, and then extreme cold and blizzard-like conditions, forcing one festival night to be canceled and 4 others to operate at reduced hours. That being said, we quickly realized that having some cold weather guidelines would make the decisions to cancel or reduce hours much easier. These guidelines could definitely use some fine-tuning, but they were a necessary and beneficial addition for this year. Our financial summary. Careful financial management allowed the event to come in under budget, with roughly $6,750 in leftover funds for future investments. Isani Together proposes using these funds to purchase 2 more sheds or a shipping container for consolidated, secure storage of event displays and equipment. 1 or 2 new wire frame displays to fill out some current selections for some better cohesion. Possible changes for 2026. Replace artificial trees with real trees each year, which could be composted after the event. This will be a storage saving, time saving, and better for the environment. As one can imagine, 10 artificial trees take up a lot of space. They also take a really long time to set up and fluff. Repurpose or donate large wreaths from the Redbird fence line and consider wire displays that store more compactly. Switch to wood-burning fire rings instead of propane for greater safety and heat, pending discussion with the fire department and city staffs, of course. Relocate 2 of the carport arches off pathways to improve plowing and allowing emergency vehicle access. Explore installing permanent lights on the amphitheater for Illuminate Santee and year-round use. I know it would make the city workers really happy too. Another thing that we should consider, it's not on my list, but the outhouses are removed at the end of October at Bluebird Park. And I really think they should stay there all year long. Being in that park, I normally would not be in the park during any cold times. Anyways, that park is reused a ton, no matter what the temperature is. And we do have a sledding hill there, and it would be really nice if there was at least 1 outhouse there, just something to consider. Anyways. iSandy Together played a vital role in organizing and executing the event. While not yet ready to fully take over, the team is committed to a gradual transition to ensure continued success and growth. iSandy Together's unwavering commitment to Illuminate iSandy was demonstrated during the intense setup for the 2025 event. Despite facing immense personal challenges, 4 of our 9 core members experienced family losses. 1 underwent surgery, another cared for an ailing relative, and 2 managed to manage their own small businesses. Our team persevered. Furthermore, every member was also balancing a full-time job, yet we made it a priority to meet weekly throughout the year to ensure thoughtful planning and smooth execution. We chose not to publicize these hardships, instead staying focused on delivering a remarkable event for our community. Through resilience, dedication, and consistent collaboration, we believe we successfully delivered a remarkable event, provoking our determination to keep this tradition thriving for our community. The goal for 2026 is to raise the same amount as 2025, keeping in mind that we have a surplus from 2025. We want to utilize the 2025 surplus funds for practical expansion. With ongoing community support and collaboration, the event is poised to deliver an even bigger and better experience. There are already inquiries from businesses and individuals interested in supporting, hosting, sponsoring, and volunteering in 2026. In conclusion, Illuminate iSandy 2025 performance reflects disciplined financial management, expanding regional appeal, proactive safety measures, and a direct positive impact on local families and businesses. With practical improvements and clear, measurable plans for 2026, we respectfully request the City Council's continued support for this event. Your vote for Illuminate iSandy 2026 will ensure festivities remain a valuable, sustainable asset for our community. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you. Yes, and again, I just want to say great job, guys. It's a great community event, and you guys did a fantastic job. I'm sure there's lots of questions up here, so if you guys have any questions, go for it.
I think you guys did a great job. How did it go for you setting up and learning how to set everything up?
There was a lot of guessing. I do think it went well. There was a lot of learning. There was a lot of questions where, like, well, how do you do that? And we're like, let's learn together, because we're not sure. So, we just did it. I don't know, we just did it.
Do you have a Facebook page, Illuminate Isani?
We do. Not Illuminate Isani, Isani Together.
Yep.
Isani Together?
Yep.
Okay. I noticed you have a few individual contributions from private people instead of businesses, and maybe try to promote that more would be one of my recommendations. Maybe try to get a donate button on that
Yeah, so
Facebook page.
we did have QR codes throughout the whole park for people to be able to make electronic donations. The problem with that system is that there is no way of donating without giving all of your information. So much like if you went on Menards and if you have an account, you can just click on it and, get your order. If you don't have an account, but you still want to check out at Menards, they have like a bypass where you can just check out, and you don't have to be a registered, get a password, a guest pass, guest checkout. That isn't something that's available through the donation site.
I don't recall 100%. You were thinking of being a nonprofit. Are you a nonprofit now? the
We are
group?
not yet, no.
Okay.
We were too busy trying to learn how to do everything else.
Is that still the hope potentially by the next year's event?
It's not off the table, but we're not sure if we'll be able to by 2026. So we thought that how things went this year, we kind of felt like things went pretty well.
Right.
There was communication, and I think we tried to make it so that we didn't have to rely on the workers too much, the city workers. I mean, Stephanie did some ordering for us, and I'm sure she did way more than that. She did some postings and stuff like that, but we tried not to ask her to do too many things. And same thing with the city workers. We tried to do as much as we could to minimize anything that they had to do. So there were times when we helped out doing something for them, and then vice versa. Like if we said, we actually don't really know if we can do that, they helped us out with things. So there was a nice give and take with that.
Good. Nick?
So I have a question regarding the expense report. What was Cheryl's entertainment?
Is that Santa?
Is that a light? Is that a light, or is that the?
Nope, that is Santa Claus.
Okay, so my follow-up to that is, when we met in June, originally you guys had talked about 4,800 for Santa, and I questioned that amount, and then you guys came back at 800. So I'm wondering how it got from 800 to 3,200.
So we talked to Santa about it, and he was unwilling to do each night for $100, but he was willing to take a lesser amount than what his original fee was. So we negotiated that with him. We had a lead on a different donor that was going to potentially help us out with the differentiating cost, but then that just never ended up taking place, so we just had to take it out of our budget to make it up.
Oops, I should have started with this, but I also want to say that I took two of my children their opening night, and the volunteers that I saw and interact with my children were very enthusiastic and happy to be there and believe in it. So I appreciate the time and effort that all the volunteers put into it, and for those who donated. Although I have a different view on it, I know that you guys believe in it, and I appreciate that you guys are putting your effort where your heart is at. So I guess my next question would be, the expense report didn't cover city staff time or public works time. I'm wondering if we have any amount for that.
I don't know if Mr. Becker has any.
I didn't track staff time, but all we did was set up the big ticket items and We did get called back one time to salt because it was pretty slippery in there, and I had another call back for the lights were left on, so I sent a guy in for that. But I'd say we probably did all the big ticket items 2 weeks, couple guys.
So 160 hours or approximate?
That'd just be a guess, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't track it.
And then, Ed,
I did not track my time, but I did, they did create all the Facebook posts, and I just posted the Facebook posts. The most difficult part, I would say, was just because of the weather, there's not, tried to figuring out how to get around, like, me having to be available on, weekends to post on our Facebook page. And so we discussed, staff did when we met, afterwards, how we could do that, and it's just directing people to your Facebook page next year just a few times instead of it being posted on ours, and pushing some of our users, Facebook users to you guys. And so that we don't even have to do any of the posting, it can just be on yours. We'll just have a few posts directing them directly to there, and then they could create the events. And so that will save some of that time. But otherwise, if we're gonna remain the fiscal agent, I think the purchasing and stuff seemed to go pretty seamlessly. They would send me the order from Menards, and I would order it, and they would pick it up, so I didn't have to touch anything usually. And neither did Public Works then for those instances, so that was pretty slick. Otherwise, yeah, it was much more reduced of my time than previous years. I can say that exponentially.
Okay. I know we had talked about roughly 200 hours, so it sounds like we're probably under that by a little bit, or on, that would be a conservative guess. So that's good. I think it seemed to go well.
It's less than a city dance.
Yeah. As far as money out of pocket.
As far as money out of pocket?
Yeah.
yeah, if I remember correctly, it was like 800 and 960 hours before, so that's a quarter of where it started at, or
Right.
even less.
Right. I did have a question. I know we had talked about, the goal was to make the city have a net zero dollar expenditure, but obviously the time from the city staff. And I thought we had talked about, like, if you raise more, some of that amount will go towards covering extra expenses, and then you guys would keep the rest in your account. Would you guys be in favor of, you have a $6,000+ surplus, would you be in favor of, donating $1,000 of that back to cover the city costs that were associated this year, and then keeping the rest in your account for next year? Is that something that has been discussed at all, or anything like that?
No, it was never discussed, we haven't discussed that.
Okay.
It was my understanding that in the contract that we
Mhm.
wrote up or whatever, that any extra money would be used for future events and not be used to pay back either prior events or any other.
I would counter that, like, if there's excess funds, I would just say that rather than investing into it, that we figure out a way to get the stuff out of the PD, so that way it reduces the trouble with setting up next year. If we can get stuff into containers and get it off-site or something like that, I feel like that would be the
Sure.
better way to go, so that way you guys have full access to it and aren't relying upon.
That's a great
I
idea.
like that idea a lot.
Yep, great idea.
Yeah, that's part of the way we talked about possibly purchasing a smaller Connex, or purchasing more sheds. Much of what was taken down, we took down on a Saturday. 99.8% of the stuff was taken down in a matter of 5 hours.
That was
It
crazy.
amazing.
That was.
And not only was it put away, it was put away right. So when the city workers came to pick it up, everything was inside the sheds, other than what was in the amphitheater. And then anything that was in the amphitheater was in totes. So when they came to get it, or when they brought it out, there was a lot more that they had to bring. And that's just so much extra time. Even unloading and reloading all those totes just seems so time-consuming to me. So if it could just be put in a Connex and that Connex brought over to me, that just makes more sense. That's also why we want to talk about getting rid of the trees and the wreaths. They're really, really bulky, and they would take up a lot of space in the
Sure.
Could also turn the Connex into a lit tunnel or something like that. rather than
Absolutely, it can
leave it
also
on
be
site and
used.
decorate it, rather than having to move it off.
Absolutely.
Cool, good ideas. And I was there to help with the cleanup day, and it was amazing to see you guys work. It's like a well-oiled machine. I couldn't believe it. I got there halfway through, and I couldn't believe most of it was done, 70% of it was done, and it was awesome to see that. And I think, I don't know how much of that is left out there, Josh. Have you guys had a chance to get out the super frozen in steaks or anything? They really busted their hump trying to get all those out, so.
The steaks are all still, they're frozen in, and if we try to pull them now, they've
break.
been, so we just put cones on them and they're out there.
Okay.
I believe everything else is taken down, just some stakes are in the ground and that's it. I think the amphitheaters are empty.
There's still a little bit of cleanup inside, but,
Oh, okay.
and I think the sheds are still sitting there, they just gotta be moved.
Oh, okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys again. You did a fantastic job this year, and I'm looking forward to, a future relationship. Any other questions?
So how would you like us to move forward, I guess? Would you like us to start working on a new contract? Like, what would you guys like to see? And then we can bring that back and work from there, and we can maybe negotiate like how it works for staff and figure out things like the Facebook posting or things like that, or any kinks that we saw together as staff. Sorry, I talk with my hands. And sit down together again, or how would you like us to move forward, I guess?
Maybe put it on a cow, have another discussion about it. I'd like to be able to help them out as much as we can. I mean, that event was drowning us. It was an astronomical number that were in a hole from that event. I know there's startup costs. I realize we spent a lot on lights and everything, but still. I love you guys for taking it over and doing a great job. Had really good community response this year about it, and I'd like to see that going forward, and I think we should do what we can to help them out.
Yeah, it's a great community building exercise, and I hope more, local government sees this and thinks, well, maybe we could initiate our people to do something like this. And we build community by providing these events, and we're trying to help you guys help everybody else, and I think it's just a great partnership, so. Yeah, come back for a future cow, and we can have more discussion, if that sounds good, or,
Would you like staff to start working on, like, just from our contract from last year, and
Yeah.
then work with them first and then bring it forward with?
Yeah, but I mean,
like
we should
Josh
get-
working out his kinks and
Yep.
them, we can all sit
I
down
think the
together.
sooner we get going on this, the sooner they can move forward with, instead of being at the last minute.
Yes, please.
Is there anything you'd like to see changed from the contract that you had?
I'd actually have to pull out the contract and make sure. I think for the most part, it was really pretty good. But of course, anything should be revisited, and now that, hindsight, there's things.
Sure.
So,
We do have a couple issues with the bigger items, like the snowman, some of the lights weren't working, the shooting star. And we did have, those are our responsibility in the contract. So if you want us to move forward on fixing those sooner than later, I guess.
I would like to transition more into those are theirs, personally. I know it's easy for me to say up here, but just a slow transition into that, because you guys had a surplus, and that's a good sign. We don't want to throw it all at you, but, and if you guys have time to try and fix it type of thing, you know what I mean? And if you have a whole year to sort of plan, and maybe it's more fun because it's not all, rushed at the end type of thing. I don't know how that sounds to you guys, but.
it would be something we'd have to just discuss.
Sure.
And I think too, I think that we would have some people that would be willing to take a stab at trying to fix it. It's more about that now that it's put away, it's not really accessible to us.
Sure.
So, that would be the biggest problem.
Sure, so if you were to say, purchase Connex containers and move the stuff, you could maybe, when you're moving the stuff, you could work on it, or I don't know if that's even feasible this year. There's a lot to discuss, so. Sure, yep. Right.
Well, that's something we can all discuss it
Yep.
even further, but.
Set up a meeting with ICNE together, with Public Services Director Becker and myself, and we'll sit down and work through some things and then bring it forward, at an upcoming cow.
Sounds good. Well, thank you, and thank you for all the volunteers that are here, too.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, everybody.
All right, item L2, resolution to consider request advancement of municipal state aid funds. Mr. Cook, I suppose this one's you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So this is to use state aid funds to fund our projects that are still getting closed out from last year that we used state aid funds for, and to add in the new projects that we're looking at. So essentially, our current balance is in the hole. We get a more or less a free loan. You can borrow up to 5 years of advancement. We're currently at about 2 years in advance, although I checked today and we haven't gotten our allotment this year, but they told us that we would have it by the end of the week likely, at which point we'd only be 1 year in the hole. So we basically have 1.2 million in funds we could advance if we needed them, and we are showing a number of advance that we'd be asking for at 647. So only about half of the amount that we could ask for, we actually are looking to need to request this year. The projects involved are the 2025 pavement management project. We got almost all of our funds, but you can only get like 95% in the initial request, and then you'd only get the last little bit once you close out the project. And the way these advances work, they work per year. So even though we asked for the money last year and we didn't close it out, we got to ask again. And that project has $10,000 that we need to ask for. Isani Hills, same thing. We got almost all the money. We got to close it out this year, so we got to ask for the money. And so that is at about $12,000 between the two different state aid routes that were on that. But then we get into our new projects, Railroad Avenue. With all costs anticipated, with a little extra contingency just to make sure we're going to be covered. We put in for $575,000, but we haven't really finished that study yet, but this number seems like a pretty safe number. This doesn't actually commit us to spending the money or using it. It's more of a kind of a cap that the state will let us borrow up to, so putting a number a little comfortable is not a bad idea. And then we have on here the South Passage Railroad planking replacement. If you recall, 2 years ago, the railroad had asked to do the South Passage crossing last year, and we asked to push it out to 2027. They countered with the latest they would be willing to push it is 2026, and we had settled with, okay, sounds good. And so here we are. So essentially, they gave us a price to share that planking cost. If you recall how that system works, they do the work, they charge us half of it, and then we are responsible for the street patch and the traffic control, if you recall. In this case, since there isn't any curb, there isn't any sidewalk, it's pretty straightforward, small street patch. I'm recommending that we only go after state aid funds for that planking cost share we're required to do. And then the other work, that would only be somewhere in the, I guess I forgot to write down the number, but let's say it's a $30,000 cost of street patching, traffic control, coordination and all that we'd have to get a local contractor to do. I'm not recommending using state aid funds for that, because to do that, then we'd have to create state aid plan sets, get state aid review and approval, and meet all their standards and have all their wage rate requirements and all those things go with it, and engineering fees for that matter. Whereas if you just go out for some quotes for those the little patchwork and that traffic control, we pretty much don't have to draw up plans. You can just ask for a few quotes, and you just wouldn't be able to reimburse yourself with state aid funds that way. So right now, this is laid out as just covering that planking cost, and then I'm recommending that we just go out for some quotes for the street patch and traffic control. But I guess that is one little piece of that project that I guess we could talk about. And then a new item that I was thinking about in between Cow and this meeting is your sidewalk infill is along a state aid route. And so we could actually add that to this advance request to at least have a placeholder to be able to choose to use state aid funds on that segment of sidewalk. So we could just add that line in this thing and at least have the ability to choose to use that money. We still wouldn't have to have committed or even choose to do the project, but if we get it in the advance request, then the state would let us get that money if we so choose. And so either we could modify that right now, you know, and still just move forward, or I could rework it and then just bring it back to the next council meeting and add that line item, you know, just so that we're kind of all caught up and square. And at that point, we'd actually have this year's allotment in there, so then you'd be able to see how far in advance we are as well. But I don't think either one would really affect much anything, but just two things, I guess, that we'd want to kind of clear up on this before we move forward.
Okay, so I have a question on the state aid stuff. Say if you have to do the engineering and all that, and it's state aid eligible, it's gonna be state aid eligible, it's a state aid route, correct? Would the state then reimburse us for your time in doing that? So it'd be a net zero wash for us as a city, and then we would be leveraging the state funds to get that roughly $30,000 of work done? Is that how I'm understanding that?
Yeah, so probably, I mean, you can request up to 25% of a project cost in engineering fees. So on a regular project, you know, we don't really get there, all the other things, you know, it's not really a problem. For a tiny little project, you know, 25% of, let's say it's only $20,000, just so my math's easy. $5,000 isn't really probably gonna cover a little bit of survey, plan set development, spec writing, submittal through state aid reviews, inspection to make sure it meets those, testing that's required to meet those, and then the contractor is gonna be bidding with wage rate requirements, so their bid's gonna be higher. And so the chain reaction there, I don't know if I would call it a net zero. You could get close-ish, you know, if you want to, but it's just, usually once a project's, you know, less than like $50,000, it's rarely easy to make that work, I guess. Or is it worth it or not, kind of a thing.
Okay, so 25% would be 7,500 on 30,000.
Sure,
You
but
think
I'm
it'd
just
probably
bringing
be, sure.
numbers here,
Yep.
so, yeah. So, we could, you know, it's just, I think
Could
it's gonna
cost
be
us
on the
more than
lighter
that.
end.
You're saying that the rates would also go up, so it wouldn't be a $30,000 project anymore.
Sure. But it would be money coming out of state funds versus our taxpayers paying for it. I mean,
But
they
then
all
we
pay
would-
for it anyway, but,
But we'd end up paying more for the job to be
Sure.
done. For $7,500, it isn't worth trying to get.
well, we'd be at 30,000 roughly.
If it goes from 30 to 50, we get 25% and 50, then
We don't have to pay any of that. It would be state aid funds that go towards all of it. He's saying that the engineering firm would only get 25%,
the actual.
up to 25%. So maybe for them, it's more advantageous for us to eat the $30,000 cost, but for a city taxpayer perspective, it's better for them to go forward and try and get the state funding for it if we can make it work.
Sure, I guess without knowing the specifics, I'm just saying if the engineering side and all the other production things end up being $12,000, you know, either way, then the city would be spending
The difference.
extra. Yeah, right,
So roughly $5,000 versus $30,000.
sure.
Okay.
Is there any interest or fees in any of these scenarios?
So no. So the state aid program is set up to try and help facilitate cities to accomplish their goals. And so their system is set up to allow cities that are in need to ask for these advances to allow it. And this resolution essentially says we will allow, you know, each annual allotment that we get to start rebuilding it back and try and get back to zero. But if a project comes up that we need the money for again, you know, as long as the funds are available, they'll, you know, help us deliver our projects.
Is this pretty typical for the other cities that you work with to be, you know, a year or two like this?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's certainly cities that are fully in the positive and even try and have large balances and wait until the positive balance is large enough to cover the cost of the project, which technically, you know, is the ideal situation.
Sure.
You know, the state honestly wants to show that there's a need for the state aid program and that people are needing the money. And so, you know, as long as you see, it's a first come, first serve, trying to get this approval to ask for an advance, you know, as long as they don't kind of run out of expected expenditures this year, it's, you know, it's just not an interest assigned thing, and it's not, you know, an extra cost to the city.
I know we moved that project on Railroad Crossing. Was it budget related, or was there something else that we wanted to do at the same time, and that's why we moved it forward?
Right, so the planking, South Passage, we were gonna redo South Passage in 2027, and we still were planning on it. And so we said, well, can we do it in 2027 with that project? And between their scheduling and the condition of the planking, they didn't wanna wait that long, and they also kinda said, well, if you actually do the planking as its own thing this year, and we replace a patch on either side to get out of their right-of-way, well then, when our project comes along, we don't even have to involve the railroad. We don't have to get it, you know, flaggers, we don't have to work within that railroad restriction. And so, it's not the worst idea to get it done ahead of time, you know, and we'll just end up with a street, kind of a patch seam right on the railroad right-of-way kind of line in the end, but you know, it's not actually too bad of a thing if you think about it that way.
Okay.
I don't know, the way I understood Jason is maybe he wants to go back and look at getting the Main Street sidewalk part of that. That's.
Yeah, I mean, so like we're saying.
If that's the case, then why don't we just postpone this until he comes back with that to get the right numbers? That's what you were kind of asking, right?
Yeah, so, you know, it's that first come, first served thing, so, you know, one council meeting delay probably isn't gonna be a problem, but I'd hate to have it be a problem. These are just estimated numbers to like get a placeholder. It's not committing to it. I'm hearing, I think, that maybe we just change the South Passage Railroad planking number to 90,000 instead of 50, to just possibly have the choice to cover it with
Sure.
the patch and the.
We don't have to take that money either.
This is just a rough, just to give them an idea,
Well, and to
essentially.
cap us at how much we can ask for.
Okay,
So if we do only ask for 50, and then you guys decide you wanna do the patch and the traffic control with state aid funds, well, we wouldn't actually be able to get them this year because we didn't ask for an advance on them.
got it.
And so if we just change it right now to be like 90, then we'll be covered in case you do choose to do that. And then if we just add another line item that's for that sidewalk, and I just go check my numbers tomorrow morning, you know, that I did earlier, or last year, and maybe we just add 10% to have a number that's comfortably covering it, we can add that in here, and now we have our placeholders if we wanna use state aid funds. Otherwise, we wouldn't be allowed to this year because it wasn't, the amount requested wasn't big enough to cover it.
Sure.
I say we get it past this meeting if we can, if everybody agrees.
Would you like to add on for that, sidewalk on Main Street?
But you have a,
We could do
Can we
so.
approve it with the changes?
Mayor and council, we could do so this evening if we want to just give an estimate as, 65, maybe plus 10% to be on that, maybe that cushion side, that would have that placeholder in there for the sidewalk, and then up to the 90,000. We could, council could approve this resolution this evening with that amendment. If
Would
they
that
so
work,
choose.
Jason, 65 and 10?
Yeah, I mean, even for less specifics, I might just say make it 75,000, just because, again, it's not commitment, it's just, that's the cap we're gonna give ourselves, so there's no need for it to be really tight, because it's not actually gonna be used, aside from, it's gonna limit how much we can ask for, should the cost actually end up being more than we thought.
So what are we, so with the sidewalk at 75 and you bring that up to 90, what's the total number amount?
So, let's see, so we'd add 75 and 40. And then we were at 647. So it'd be asking for 762,000 allowed to be advanced. And our technical limit is 1.2 million, so we're still well short of it. you know, and it's just making that at least eligible on the table for you guys to choose. Maybe once the Railroad Avenue feasibility report comes in, you don't want to do the project, or we change something. It's perfectly fine. This is just making those funds available should we choose to move forward on any of these.
Same thing with the sidewalk.
Yep.
So how I understand this is if we were to use this money this year, we can't come back. It's money that's gone. We only have so much allotted over the next 5 years to get ahead of time. So if we use this money for, say, a sidewalk or the railroad planking, that's less money we can have next year. Prepaid.
Sure, yes?
Okay.
Yes.
Except that we're gonna have some come back.
Every year, yep, we get an allotment in January. I thought it would be here by now, but like I say, they told me by the end of the week, and I checked, you know, right before I came here, and it wasn't in there, but it's over $300,000 we get a year.
Okay.
So each year that goes by, it's gonna keep coming back, but then each time we wanna do a state aid project, we gotta ask for an advance unless we're up in the positive. And right now, we have a couple more projects on, you know, in the hopper that in a couple years, we're gonna probably have to do this again. And then to be honest, you know, we have the full dollar amount for this Railroad Avenue in here. Well, it's unlikely that we'll have closed out the project before the end of the year. So it's likely we're gonna have a $20,000 we gotta do an advance request for next year just to close out the project. You know, it's just this per year thing that we just have to keep doing this paperwork for.
So what you
Okay.
say, 762, you said?
Yep.
I think a motion to approve it for 762.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Lundin, second by Councilmember Peterson. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0 on that. Next, we will go to item L3, resolution to consider authorizing a reduction in letter of credit for Johnson Meadows Second Edition. Jason is, oh,
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The developer Carrington Homes of Johnson Meadows Second Edition has requested a reduction in their letter of credit following the successful completion of public utilities and initial paving. Staff supports this request, myself, city engineer Jason Cook, as well as finance director Solberg, all reviewed it and recommend approval at this time.
And we've done this on numerous other projects, so I motion to approve.
Second.
motion approved by Councilmember Lundin, second by Councilmember Peterson. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Next, we'll move on to L4, resolution to consider related to the deed redevelopment grant and the Creamery Building Project. Ms. Hilsheim.
Good evening again. Staff is seeking your approval of 2 required resolutions to apply for a Minnesota deed redevelopment grant funding, specifically to support the revitalization of the Creamery building, and this would be specific to a large boiler room area within the building, which has never been utilized for anything other than storage or creamery operations. How long ago? And so it's a large space. We do have the applicants here if you'd like to hear them talk about it. And it would be for the Creamery Kitchen and Tap House LLC.
Sure. Would you guys like to come forward and say anything, or? Come on up and state your name and address for the record. And I will say that little area is really cool. It's pretty awesome. So the industrial feel that it's got in there is going to be pretty awesome. Ms. Hilsheim, I'd like to ask you a question quick.
Yes.
So what sort of time is involved in this for you when doing these grants? I assume they fill out most of the stuff and you just submit it through?
Yep, we would work together on it, but we don't have a ton of time. It's not too encumbering of a grant process. We have a lot of the city side of it is pretty standard. It's what we utilize for other grant applications. And so the specifics would be them working on it, and I just would say minimally a couple hours potentially. But really it allows us to help our businesses get money that wouldn't be otherwise brought in our community, and prevents us from using some of our local dollars that we do have. And so any way we can help get money in our community that taxpayers in our community are paying out to the state or federal government, I think is helpful for our community.
Sure, of course. All right, boys, name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Brody Bakken. My partner Nick Shear. We are real estate agents with Turpin Realty. We just bought 104 Main Street, the old Creamery building, a few months ago. My grandpa started Turpin Realty 50 years ago. He spent a lot of time in Isani many years, and then we moved to Cambridge, and we are thrilled to be back in Isani. The council staff has been super awesome. Stephanie's awesome to work with, so I don't know if we tell you guys that enough. So been really fun for us. The journey at the Creamery has been really fun. We started, there's 6 apartments upstairs. We started there. We've got all of those filled. Awesome people upstairs. Yeah, just that went pretty slick. They were in pretty good shape. Most of them were in pretty good shape when we bought it. And then we have 4 business suites downstairs, the Creamery, and so we have all of those filled with other local entrepreneurs. So we're very excited about that. The restaurant piece, the dining room, the kitchen is what everyone really cares about. No one cares too much about real estate offices. So the kitchen and the dining room, if you walk through it today, it looks like a completely different space. It's definitely a demolition zone right now. And we've had contractors out, we've had engineers out, and so we are awaiting some probably pretty big bids to make that a thriving space again. Nick and I started another LLC, the Creamery Kitchen and Tap House, and so just by deductive reasoning, you can kind of just figure out what we're thinking, what our plan is for that space, hopefully in the coming couple months.
Sure.
Our vision, I don't know if you guys have seen, I mean, Nick did something and put it on Facebook, but we've got this really big boiler room that's over 2,000 square feet, and we've got big, grand visions. We're young entrepreneurs and excited about it, and you know, have super big plans for it. But these plans for the boiler room are probably 2 or 3 or 4 years down the road. Once we have our dining room and the kind of the front of the building established, and we're saying, yep, we can make money, this is a fun, we're enjoying this, let's create this new space that we can use as an event space or whatever we see fit at that time. And it just so happens that there's a deed grant that's due next month that is almost, it seems, written for a space like that. So basically redeveloping it, taking it from storage. There's obviously a huge boiler in there that was used once upon a time that's just there right now. I'm sure it's going to be tomorrow, our contractor's coming out and it's going to tell us that it's filled with asbestos, and that number is going to be huge, I'm sure, to get it out of there.
If you need a number for another guy, I deal with a guy that does a lot of that demoing, and he's phenomenal, and he's very reasonable.
Sweet. We will. We do already. So that's all that I have. Do you have anything, Nikki? Nick handed this out. It's basically this top piece right here is the boiler room. You can see there's a little sliver that's like a garage space. We'll probably keep that, but then the rest of it is the boiler room. So once upon a time, it seems like maybe somebody was going to do some type of a dinner club, or I'm not sure exactly what the history is, but that obviously never came to fruition. So.
Sure. Well, we're really excited that you guys are here and you guys would take this over. It's awesome to see some movement there, and this room is awesome for what your plans are, I think. It would be awesome if you guys could keep the door, hang the door on the wall. That's a staple, I feel like, for that type of a thing. So I'm excited for y'all. Is there any risk for the city involved in something like this?
So basically, these resolutions waive the risk to the city to become the risk of the applicants. And
Yep.
so it would be facilitated through the city, but the risk would really be, it's putting the onus on them to have the match. And if they're the ones who fail to comply, then they would be the ones who would pay the money back within 5 years. And so it really is the risk on them.
Okay.
And not the city.
Okay.
Minimal risk.
Is there any other stipulations to take in that?
There aren't any other stipulations for the city that we have to fill out just our pre-award risk application, which really is the state taking a risk on a city, just having the ability to apply for a grant, which is what they do for any deed grant. And so pretty similar to what we generally are filling out, no different than the Main Street program, which we worked on earlier this year.
Okay.
So that's basically both those resolutions?
Yes.
Same thing?
Yep, one is specifically stating that you guys are approving us to apply because we need a resolution from council, and the other one is just committing the local match, which would be 50% put on by the Creamery Kitchen and Tap House LLC, so.
So I'm gonna go ahead and say I motion to approve both.
Thank you guys for the commitment to the city, and a lot of people kept asking for restaurant and for the creamery to be brought back. So thank you for you guys putting the effort in and taking the risk, and I'll second the motion.
I swear that's every day people say something about that, so it's reinvigorated, so that's
Well,
awesome.
they got a huge boost, because Peoples is up for sale.
Sure.
That's gonna be an amazing space if you make it happen. Looking forward to seeing it someday.
You know, I've done a bunch of work for a wedding venue company, and they did, there's a building called the Gilbert Building in downtown St. Paul, and there was an old vault, and they took the doors, and they have that set up for part of the wedding venues. That same company has bought in Cedarhurst Manor in Cottage Grove. And there's a bathtub that Roosevelt used when had been there. There's 5 presidents that stayed in it. They're taking that tub and they're putting it in the groomsman's suite. Because like when he brought up the door, this was just kind of an idea for that. So they're gonna have that tub set up for photo ops. There's the old cage elevator. They're taking that out and setting that up in the front for a photo shoot ops. So if you ever look up the Cedarhurst Manor, take a look at that. It's pretty amazing.
All right, there's a motion and a second on the floor. Motion from Councilmember Lundin, second from Councilmember Peterson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
All right, item L5, resolution to consider 2026 special event permit for the street dances. Mr. Becker.
Good evening, council and mayor. Resolution to consider the 2026 special event permits for the street dances this year.
Okay, so we had talked about, I thought last year of the fourth date. I had an idea, and I think it maybe would be a good idea to schedule a 4th date as a rain date. So if one of the first 3 doesn't happen, then you have a date, all the other artists are maybe aware that, hey, if say the second event is rained out, you have the 4th date set up as a potential option. And you could give them first right of refusal to perform at it, but I have a feeling every year people ask me, bands ask me, how do you get involved with this? And I feel like if we had a 4th option or a 4th event for a rain date and the band that was supposed to play on the rain date doesn't want it, that we could find another one to fill in. So that was kind of my idea, to potentially have the 4th one, so that way at least taxpayers and residents are having at least 3, even if there's rain.
And I think that's just a matter of just adding a date at any time. I mean, we could just say approve this as is with date to be determined due to weather. We're not asking to have a 4th dance.
Sure.
It's just to have a to be determined at a later time.
Well, we could add, Mr. Becker was just going to get to the point that there is a backup potential location that staff, Parks Coordinator Ethan Andrews did work with the rodeo and the fire district, and they have given approval for the street dance to move over there. And he has gotten commitments from all the bands that as long as there's a little bit of time to change, can't be the same day, but if we knew that the bad weather was coming, they could move over there. However, I do want to share, which he was going to share.
Sorry, guys.
Is that the city would have to assume the liability, and so we are still waiting to hear back from our LMCIT insurance carrier that they will cover the city if we move it onto there, because that's not city property. So we still have to wait for that, but that is an option, and that did go through the fire board, and they did approve that. So right now, we're waiting for the insurance information. And in terms of a 4th date, not to be confused with the street dance. But Mr. Becker was also going to share that we do have an Amp It Up event coming up, which would be a fourth dance
Okay.
for the city of Isani.
I'm sorry. We're on the same page.
I just didn't want him to leave anything out, but he was going to say everything I just said.
He's pretty shy, Josie, you're not.
Okay, well, that sounds like, and what's the plan for the potential Amp It Up type event, which I'm happy to hear, we gotta use that amphitheater. It doesn't get the same, as much turnout, but it has a different type of turnout, so,
So he has a local group that is from the area that's gonna plan on doing the Amp It Up
okay.
event, and I think he's doing it, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't have all the details, but the last, end of the year event.
Okay. So that's in the works still.
It's still in the works.
Okay.
I'm not sure if he's got 100% commitment, but I don't want to mispronounce his name, and I probably will if I'm not reading it, but Troy Castanello.
Oh, really?
Really?
Troy Castellano.
Oh, okay.
That's
Oh,
why I didn't
my.
Castellano.
know if we're saying the name yet or not, so.
Well, now we did.
Which, that's still in the works, and he's really hopeful that he can have that be that a really great event, and maybe even have some other activities with it, so.
All right. That's good progress.
That'll fill
Good work,
Troy is-
everybody.
I've known Troy since he was knee-eyes to a grasshopper.
He grew up in the house 2 doors down from my parents' house.
No, he grew up down on County Road 9.
Oh, one of his neighbors, they lived there at some point.
They may
Yeah,
have at one
yeah.
some point, but he grew up on County Road 9, just down by the crossroads. Because he lived next door to my sister, and I went to school with them all.
That's cool.
Troy's a really good guy, and he's actually written a lot of songs for other country singers. They've used his songs, so, but I guess, I don't know if that answers the question of adding that fourth date.
I
or
don't
not.
think we need it with the
All
backup
right.
plan potentially and
So-
then the Amp It Up. I know last year we just talked about bringing it back to 4, and I wanted to make sure because that is what we talked about last year, so I wanted to make sure, and I appreciate you
Back to
guys' work.
3.
Well, 4
From
events total, 3 street dance and 1. Yep.
So, I make a motion to approve.
And can we just, excuse me if I could interrupt, though, just to make sure, does the council, assuming we do hear back from insurance and that the city can be carried by adding on, let's just, maybe it's going to be a rider or something, is that something that the council is comfortable with?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea.
Talk to people who live around there at all and see if they have.
I think there's 4 townhomes right there. How would that's less than Main Street, I guess, but would we send a letter to them to ask?
Well, we wouldn't, no, we would, because we wouldn't have time to mail out the letters.
Because it's gonna be a short term if it rains.
Yeah.
Sure. Maybe if we end up signing that and agreeing to it, could we just send letters to them, letting us know that, then those residents know that there is a potential that we could have a rain event there? Would that be okay?
Yeah, we certainly could. And
Okay.
if for some reason we are not able to, or it's just at an exorbitant cost or something to get the insurance and we're not able to move there, we won't obviously send a
Sure.
letter. And then we would be in the same boat that we were before. We could try to get them over to the amphitheater as a backup location if it was available and unoccupied, or worst case would be to cancel, but.
Cancel, and we can always, we'll hear back sooner or later on that. We can always have time to add a date to be determined if we got rained out.
Sure.
It's just, because that's just semantics at this point for that. We're not adding another dance. We're just having an alternative date.
Yep. Okay, sounds good there. So there's a motion on the floor from Councilmember Lundin.
Second.
Second from Councilmember Peterson. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Next, resolution, item L6, resolution to consider authorizing to enter into a professional services contract for IT services with White Bear IT Solutions LLC, and this was added recently to the agenda.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So staff does apologize that this contract snuck up on us, which is why it was added. This was a 3-year contract that we had with White Bear IT Services, which we entered into in January 2023. We did go out for an RFP at that time, and the other proposals that we received from 2 other IT services was quite a bit higher than what White Bear IT Services has been. Services has been adequate for what we use here for the city of Isani. So going with a larger company Maybe there are times that we could have faster responses, but then you're paying over double the cost that we pay. And the costs and the agreement that we have with White Bear IT, as well as what would be in the new contract, is that it's a flat rate for the entire month, no matter how many times we have to call and the services that we need provided, which we think has benefited the city well over the last 3 years. It wasn't always like that, but we do feel like that seems to be good for the city. So the cost would be $2,250 per month for the monthly rate of that, and it would be effective February 1st.
What was the rate last time?
That's what I was.
Do you remember what that was? 750? 1,874?
Okay.
5.
So that's $375 up per month, so that's $4,000 a year, roughly. Is that math right? Yeah, more.
I did bring the proposals that we had from 2023 from the other companies. Not that they would be relevant, because we didn't do another RFP, but just showing the cost difference from the other proposals if you were interested.
Yeah, almost. Is it exactly? Okay. Thoughts, guys?
You could probably find a lot more than that from somebody else, but
Well, I initially voted no to adding to the agenda. It was just, it seems like a lot of money to not have more time to look into before signing it.
Okay.
I mean, that's, if you look at just the straight cost, I mean, that's 24,000 some a year, 25,000 a year. How many calls are we getting a year out of them? Like,
Well, I mean, in a week, I would say he's reached out to every week for different things. It could be security, it could be firewall, it could be help with our Adobe subscription, adding new emails for new employees, security scans and different software for security, malware, potential issues, threat attacks. We reach out to him. There's not a week that goes by, because most go through me. There are some maybe things that go through PD that I don't see in
There's-
addition.
From our side, like our CGIS auditing pieces, like all like the mandated CGIS auditing requirements that have to go through our server stuff, that's all what he maintains whatever he does. So he needs to maintain that, as well as, so he's also an IT for another city on the same records management system, which is huge, to be able to have him not only have the CGIS certification, but able to do those, like LETG, even when we switched over to Oracle, to do the CGIS side of it too. So we probably reach out to him, I would say, several times a week that we see. He also does all the backup for, I know we have 2 backup services for something, I can't remember off the top of my head, what used to be the camera system, and I think our WatchGuard server is backed up through he maintains the backup pieces for our data too.
Switching over to our new website, he's doing all the back-end DNS server information to get that. So definitely weekly, multiple times.
If we were to say, hold this until the next meeting, would that be a big detriment? You said February 1st it would be active, or what's our first meeting date? Would he still continue services, do you think, or?
My recommendation, I don't know, I didn't ask. And
Okay.
again, this was staff that we missed that this was coming up.
Yep.
My recommendation is that we enter into a new agreement for 1 month then, if you want to do it. We really cannot, just because of our security issues, we can't have a break in services.
Sure.
We don't have a backup. We don't have anyone else to take over IT.
Okay.
I would say, short of hiring a full-time IT person, I think you're better off just sticking with what we're doing. He knows
I
our
agree.
systems, he's working them. You bring somebody else new in, they don't know, it's like Chief Meyer said, he does it for other cities, so some of that, it helps out for him taking care of the issues he's having. I make a recommendation and we go with it. I get what you're saying, but unfortunately, everything costs more money.
Is there negotiation room in something like that? Could we say, hey, we'd approve this at $2,100 per month?
It's a professional service, you could counter.
Did you make a motion, Steve? Sorry.
Yeah, I made a motion
Okay, there's
to
a motion
approve
on
it.
the floor to approve it as written. Is there a second? Hearing none, motion fails. Further discussion?
So with a three-year contract, if you looked at inflation or CPI over that, it'd be like at 2050, so your 2100 counter offer, I feel like is probably, unless the responsibilities or something has changed, just an increase for an increase without justification doesn't seem prudent.
I have a question about the security of ITs. I know nothing about them, so if he's downloading the police computers, I'm not sure how in-depth he's getting. I mean, are they bonded different than working for a company? I mean, is there would they have to do like a
Well,
background
for
check?
us, in order for him to access our stuff, he does get fingerprinted and do the CGIS
Okay.
training, and he's certified through CGIS just to be in our building, and then he has access to the CGIS database. So has the certification to have the same access we do to the criminal justice information system databases, yes.
So he's screened by
Okay.
BCA as well?
Yes.
Is there any other concerns? The city, I mean, so this is pretty standard, and this IT firm already, like you said, does one other police department, so, okay. That was my question, just about bonding or extra insurance or confidentiality or how that's all covered. Okay. I like your counter offer,
Okay.
and it's just above the 3% you're saying per year?
If you did 3% a year over 3 years, and it came out to like 2050 from the 1875, so his 2100 is,
I make a motion to counter them for $2,100.
second?
Motion by Councilmember Heeman, second by Councilmember Peterson to counter for $2,100. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye. You're just gonna end up screwing this around, but
Mayor and
you do what
council,
you want.
we will make that counter to them, but I am going to request that we do enter into agreement for what is agreed upon for 1 month, so we don't have a break in service.
Sounds good.
So that would be in the amount of
Twenty-
$2,250 for the month of
Yep.
February, and then we would have, it would come back before that 1 month would be up.
So next month, we'll have an answer, whether he says yes or whether he says no, and then we can decide if we're gonna select him or go a different route, essentially.
Correct.
Okay.
And if we did decide to go a different route and go with the RFP, we will need to likely extend with him,
Sure.
again, just so we're not having a break in service. But I would like to request that there be a vote on
RFP
going with him for 1 month.
RFP process is 90 days, or is it 30 days?
I'm sorry?
The RFP process, how much time is that?
Typically, well, we have to post it in the newspaper, we do have to post it out. It has to, RFP first has to come to city council for approval after it's been drafted. And then it usually is open for about 30 days, and then we review the proposals and it has to come back to council after that. So it's usually about a 2-month process at a minimum.
So would it be better just to do like a 2 or 3 month now? Then we can go through that process and then, or just still do the 1 month?
I don't think we should go through the process unless he declines the offer, just the amount of staff time
The
involved with
process
that.
is very time
Right.
consuming, and it does have a cost as, I worked on the RFP last time, that we did it in 2023, which would have to be all redone again, because all of our systems, not all of them, but a lot of our systems has changed, and Travis has to go through all of his. It actually is very time consuming to write up everything that we do for data, and IT needs, so we're talking hours of work.
Yep. I think, so the motion was carried 3-1 to go for 2,100, and you said you wanted a vote on a conditional 1 month?
Two. Probably two, so we could decide whether to go.
Just do 1 month, and we'll come back next month with another decision or vote.
Okay.
So do we need a motion on that as well?
Yes, I do.
I'll make that motion to go forward with the 1 month at $2,250.
Second.
Motion on the floor by myself, second by Councilmember Peterson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0 on that. Thank you, guys. Good discussion. Next, we have L7, resolution to consider approving a conditional use permit for a fitness gym at 687 East Dual Boulevard. Stephanie.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We have a conditional use permit to review for a fitness gym on East Dual Boulevard. It was earlier this evening. The Planning Commission reviewed this application at a public hearing, and it was recommended approval. We do have another working fitness gym within the same district, and we don't see any issues with this one.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Councilmember Lundin, second by Councilmember Heeman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. That is approved. I believe next is the consent agenda. Did you guys have any questions on the consent agenda? George?
I did have a question on M2.
There you go.
I have a question on M2. So, it looks like you want, these devices, are they gonna be internet accessible?
That's what they are. They're the internet access points for those squads.
All right, are they gonna be, CJIS protected?
They run through a VPN like the other, yeah, it just,
Okay,
yep, same thing we already are running, we're just short two.
all right, just making sure,
Yeah.
it wasn't real clear exactly what they were gonna be used for.
Yeah, it's-
Correct.
It's already what we have, it's just that we're short two devices, that's all. And
Okay.
We had a mix up when we did the budget for this year, we thought they were gonna be in there, but we didn't have them in there.
All right,
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion approved by Councilmember Lundin, second by Councilmember Peterson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. The consent agenda is approved. Are there any other communications or questions from the board or staff?
Motion to adjourn.
second.
Motion adjourned.